1 month ago, on a Tuesday night, I got a message from my only consulting client. Stop all further work. And just like that, at 64, I got retired. It feels fantastic. Still, in my first month of retirement, I've learned 14 lessons that you need to hear if you're in your 40s, 50s, or early 60s, want to know what's coming at you and how you can prepare for it. Not just financially, in every way. Because while I'd prepared for this day for decades, I was still surprised by how I felt the next morning, by what my planning had missed, what's better than I imagined, and what's harder than I thought. Here is your chance to hear what the first month of retirement is like. I'm Kevin Mepham, and this one is personal. Welcome to ThriveSpan and Retirement 2.0. Lesson 1. Retirement feels fantastic. Look, I knew the axe would fall one day. I just didn't know when. I figured when it did, I would feel stressed and unmoored. On both counts, I was wrong. All through my 4 years as a consultant, I'd been permanently anxious that I wasn't doing enough or the right things to keep the axe from falling. When it finally did fall that night and was no longer hanging over me, that stress I didn't know I carried evaporated. My relief was profound. At the same time, it dawned on me. For the first time in my life, I had complete control over my time. The 8 to 10 hours a day previously devoted to work were now entirely mine to use for things that I cared about, that I'd been half-assing or sacrificing other priorities for or putting off altogether. I wasn't unmoored. Instead, I was free to drop my anchor where I wanted to. That sense of agency felt extraordinary, though a bit misleading, as you'll learn in Lesson 12. A lot of people carry quiet dread about retirement, about losing identity, structure, purpose, and more. We'll talk about how to prepare for that in Lesson 4. But for me, from hour 1, the dominant feeling was not loss. It was relief and freedom. It felt fantastic, but also sudden. Lesson 2. Accept that you may not get to choose when you retire. Before last month, I'd already been laid off twice in my career and jumped ship just ahead of the axeman twice more. You probably have similar stories. We know that we don't always get to leave a job on our own terms, so we must have a plan for what we'll do when we lose it. With the rate I was billing my client, I was going to keep working as long as they kept paying. When they finally kicked me out of the nest, I was grateful that they'd gotten me to 64, that they finally freed me, and that I prepared for this moment, even if I didn't know when it would come. You might not make it as far as you want, or you may choose to retire early while you still have full health to enjoy it. The axe is coming for all of us, one way or another. When it lands, will you be ready for retirement? One preparation matters above all the others. Lesson 3, the secret to a thriving retirement. It's not how much money you saved, though we will talk financials starting in Lesson 5. The secret to a thriving retirement is to figure out what a thriving retirement looks like for you. You can't get what you want until you know what you want. All the other lessons rest on this foundation. I designed my retirement, this first phase at least, over decades of self-reflection, research, and experimentation. Maybe you don't have that kind of time left, but wherever you are, start now. The time and effort you put into figuring out what you value, what you don't, what work gives you that you'll need to replace, that's as much of an investment in a thriving retirement as the money you're saving and the health you're hopefully building. As you're designing your retirement, please don't mindlessly fall back on that old cliché society still pushes on us. Retirement 1.0. Pure leisure, endless vacation, a permanent stop to meaningful work. For me, and for you if you're watching this, a bit of rest is probably a good thing. But soon, that pure leisure will start to feel empty for us, and we'll start building our new life, one that thrives as we age. Retirement 2.0. So name your values, your passions, your talents. Design for those. Retire with intention. How did I learn this? From my dad's bad example. Lesson 4. Know what you're losing when you leave your job. My dad was a high school science teacher and department head for 30 years at the same high school. Then he took early retirement, moved to a small town in Southern Oregon, left his life behind, and just shrank. Turned out there was something he got from work, lost when he retired, and didn't even know that he desperately needed. Respect. The respect of his students, of his colleagues. Once it was gone, he didn't have the skills to build another source for it, despite his increasingly dysfunctional attempts. And he had compounded his loss by relocating at the same time. He left his job, his town, and his social circle all at once. All he had left was his wife. Watching his avoidable decline is what launched me on my retirement preparation journey almost 35 years ago. Here's the first question it taught me to ask that you too need to answer. When you leave your job, or it leaves you, what are all the valuable things you will lose besides your paycheck? Identity, structure, socializing, something else? How will you cope? What other sources will you find for those things? If you also plan to relocate, ask the same questions for leaving your community as well. Becoming self-aware of your needs and figuring out what will fill them when you retire will take time. So start now. And once you figure out what you need to add to your retirement life, don't wait until you're retired to try it out. Me, for example, it took years to realize that what I got most from my job, besides the paycheck, was purpose, specifically making people's lives better in a lasting way. I can point to the exact journal page from 6 years ago where I figured out that my source for purpose in retirement would be ThriveSpan. And once I did, I didn't wait until retirement to test that notion. I began posting content right away on Facebook, then Medium, then Twitter, and finally YouTube here last year. By the time I retired, I was thrilled to finally be able to give ThriveSpan the time it deserved to fully embrace my new purpose. But you say, purpose doesn't pay the rent. What replaces the paycheck? Lesson 5, where the money comes from when the paycheck ends. Look, I'm not a financial advisor, and your circumstances are different from mine. What I can give you is not specific investment advice. When you can afford to retire is a calculation for an actual financial planner, not a YouTube video. Still, my general principles will likely apply to you as well. So I'll share as an example the 4 sources of my retirement income. First, investments. My approach to investing has been simple. Invest early, invest consistently, invest simply, and stay invested. Every year, without fail, for 3 decades, I maxed out my 401k or self-employed IRA contribution. I rarely checked my balance. I never borrowed from it. I just paid into it and let it grow. This simple approach is how you build an investment that will provide the bulk of your retirement income. Second, savings. Because I kept my spending under control during my last few go-go years as a consultant, I had more savings than I could actually contribute to my IRA. So I saved the excess. I built a retirement transition fund to tide me over until I start taking Social Security. Third source, this passion project, ThriveSpan. I'm confident it will generate some income at some point. I don't know how much or by when. In any case, that's not why I'm doing ThriveSpan, but it'll factor in somehow. Fourth, Social Security. To maximize the payouts, I want to wait as long as possible to claim, ideally till 70. That'll depend on me managing my spending so I can stretch out those savings and on what ThriveSpan can bring to the table. Income, though, is only half the retirement finances battle. The other half is spending. Lesson 6, avoid locked-in lifestyle creep. How is it that when that Tuesday night email zeroed out my income by surprise, I did not panic? Sure, I'd saved money, but I didn't know whether it was enough. What I did know was that over the past decade of rising income, I had intentionally avoided the trap of lifestyle creep. Lifestyle creep. When your spending increases as your income goes up. Well, what's wrong with that? Well, first, when the vast majority of us, including me, retire, our income goes down substantially. If we're still locked into high spending when that happens and we can't dial the spending back, we are screwed. That locked-in spending can come from high fixed expenses, mortgage, car payments, credit card debt, taxes, insurance, maintenance, utilities for that big house. But you could also find yourself locked into high discretionary expenses if you're not prepared to give them up. Second problem, if we're spending our increase in income, that means we're not saving it. And less savings means less income in retirement. So lifestyle creep is the worst of both worlds. You need more money in retirement and you have less. Look, when your income goes up, save most of that increase. Build an emergency fund, pay down debt, max out your retirement account contributions, and just save. At the same time, absolutely spend some of that increase with intention on things that bring you joy in ways you can dial back when your income goes down too far. I love Ramit Sethi's conscious spending framework. Spend extravagantly on what you love, cut mercilessly on what you don't. For my partner and me, cutting mercilessly means a modest apartment, one shared paid-off car, home-cooked meals, no credit card debt. At the same time, extravagant spending on concerts, travel, and cocktail ingredients, the things that genuinely bring us joy. All the while, fully prepared to dial those things back when the income goes down. That's why when I got that Tuesday night email, I did not panic, because I knew my spending floor was low enough that the numbers would work even before I'd run them. That's what low fixed spending buys you, not just money, peace of mind. One further note about fixed spending. Nothing stays the same forever. Our lives move through eras. What is essential, intentional spending in one era can become locked-in overspending in the next. That 5-bedroom house in the top school district with the short commute to work that made perfect sense in your work era. When you move into your retirement era, when work is over and the kids are graduated and launched, that house could turn into a financial boat anchor. Accept that your work era has ended, cherish what it gave you, then let go of all the costly things you no longer need and create space for your ideal retired life. Also accept that no matter how much you prepare your finances for retirement, it'll still surprise you. Lesson 7, the big money switch I didn't prepare for. Whoops. All these decades, I had carefully saved my pot of money to spend in retirement. I had never thought about the switch from saving it to spending it. Turns out, this switch can catch you off guard from the get-go in 3 ways. First, rearranging savings accounts to spend from them. After working for multiple employers plus consulting, I find my retirement funding is spread across multiple IRAs, an annuity, a small pension, cash savings, eventually Social Security. Which should I withdraw from, when, and how much? How should I adjust those withdrawals as the market changes? Should I consolidate accounts to simplify? Should I rebalance, maybe even add accounts to reduce market risk or reduce taxes or reduce future Medicare premiums? When should I start taking Social Security? I knew my job was going to end sometime in the next few years. I should have been asking these questions. Now I urgently need to engage a financial advisor to help me answer them. If you're within a couple of years of retirement, you should do the same. Whatever I learn, I'll share with you. Second surprise, managing spending. Look, as long as I had income coming in, I had slack. If I overspent one quarter, then I saved a bit less or I worked a few more hours. Now that I'm on a fixed retirement income, suddenly I have to manage my spending much more tightly. That's a big mindset shift I have to make and a new system I have to build. I have a budget, but I'm not yet set up to categorize and track what I actually spend against that budget. And if I consistently overspend, I'm screwed. You could have the same challenge. I'm going to try building a system this week, and this sounds like a good job for AI, and I'll share what I figure out for that system on this channel. Third surprise with this shift, shifting mindset from saving to spending. For our entire working lives, money comes in, some goes out, the rest goes to savings. When we retire, that suddenly flips. Deposits stop, withdrawals begin. This can be a wrenching mindset shift if you identify as a saver or if you're worried about running out of money. I'm not finding myself bothered by this, at least so far. I mean, I've known all along that the whole reason for saving that money was to spend it now in retirement. As long as I put in place the systems I just talked about to manage withdrawals from my accounts and to manage my spending, I don't think I have to be anxious. Do the same, and you won't either. Lesson 8, give yourself some time to find your footing. First, starting with a honeymoon period, a month, a season, a year of accomplishing nothing to decompress from decades of work pressure, is a legitimate use of early retirement time. I didn't take one. I had too much I couldn't wait to start on day one, but if you need it, give yourself the time. Second, some of your time at the front end will be consumed by all the things you've been putting off because you were too busy with work. In my case, I'm ashamed to say, medical stuff. My first month of retirement, I got my year overdue physical and labs, pre-colonoscopy appointment, and a coronary artery calcium scan. Maybe that'll be it for you. Maybe you'll have a long list of home maintenance and improvement projects piled up by then, and no excuse to put them off any longer. Third, you'll lose your work routine all at once, but you'll have to build up your retirement routine piece by piece, and that will take time. For these reasons, expect to need some time to find your footing when you retire. I'm giving myself 3 months to consciously design and settle into my new retirement routine. Oh, and until I do, I am deliberately holding off on any new ongoing commitments. You might consider doing the same during your transition period, because the moment word gets out that you're retired, the requests for years-long commitments of your time will roll right in. But until you settle into your new routine, you won't know how much time you have to commit. You don't have to say no, just not yet. These requests have waited decades. They can wait 3 more months. I'm going to use those 3 months to skyrocket my quality of life. Lesson 9, what to do with all that NRE, new retirement energy. I've made a lot of progress toward a thriving life over the past 18 years, but I still have gaps. The hardest gaps, of course, that I just couldn't close because work took so much of my energy, willpower, focus, and time. Not anymore. Now I'm unleashed, and you will be too. I think you'll be surprised by how much. For my first 3 months, I decided to take that energy, close all those gaps, and see what it's like to experience peak thrive. And in the process, construct my retirement 2.0 life routine. As an example, here are the gaps I'm closing, a few at a time, over those 3 months. Exercise. Never skip my daily 1-hour workout and add weekly high-intensity VO2 max training. Nutrition. Drop my weight from 183 to 176 by limiting snacking to fruits and veggies. Sleep. Average 6 hours, 50 minutes per night so I can handle the day with no post-morning caffeine and no naps. In lesson 13, I'll share how this is going. Relationships. Connect more with my partner, family, and friends. Plan a retreat for the men's group I lead. Money. Engage a retirement planner, get withdrawals configured, set up spend management like we just talked about. Mindset. Go through my daily activities fully present, not distracted like I've been for the last 35 years. Purpose. Get to where I can publish a ThriveSpan video for you every week. Also, explore using AI across writing, life coaching, spend tracking, mixology, and more. And alcohol. Faithfully follow the alcohol moderation rules I put in place to drink with joy and intention and still thrive the next day. In lesson 14, I'll warn you about how dangerous retirement can be to your vices. You probably know some way you could make your life better. Figure out what those ways are, or use my list, and start planning to invest your newly unleashed energy in them when you retire. That's right, invest. Lesson 10, your investing days aren't over. When the paychecks stop and you shift from saving money to withdraw it, it's easy to feel like your investment days are over. They are not. Aerobic fitness, strength, bone density, metabolic health, sleep, relationship health, cognitive reserve, all these forms of health are retirement accounts too. Accounts that you're going to draw down as you age. The bigger your account balance is and the longer you keep investing and delay those withdrawals, the longer, healthier, and happier your retirement years will be. Unlike with your 401k, it's never too late to start investing in your health. And retirement actually makes it easier. Like we discussed in the previous lesson, you'll finally have the time and energy that work used to consume. But don't wait until retirement to start. These investments in health compound, just like your money does. The person who starts exercising at 45 arrives at retirement in a completely different condition than the person who waits until 65. Wherever you are, start from there and start now. Lesson 11, your time is now worth what? I did not anticipate how my relationship with time would change when I retired. For the past 4 years as a consultant, I knew exactly what my time was worth. I valued my personal time at my billable rate. Was this leisure activity worth giving up a billable hour? Was this chore worth paying someone else so I could bill instead? With retirement, that framework is gone now. So how do I value my time now? By what I choose to trade off. We all have finite time. Every yes to one thing is a no to something else. Saying yes to a social evening means, for me, saying no to 4 hours of content creation. Taking on more household chores during weekdays while my partner is still working frees up her time on nights and weekends to spend with me. The currency is no longer money, it's meaning. Weekdays and weekends have flipped too. I used to push all my non-work chores into the weekend to preserve the weekdays for work. Now, I knock out chores during weekdays, freeing evenings and weekends for my partner and friends, nearly all of whom are still working. Prepare better for this shift than I did. While you're still working, start practicing being intentional with your time. Are you spending your discretionary time doom scrolling or watching TV shows you don't even enjoy? Become aware that you're choosing empty calories over exercise, sleep, and real connection. If you choose consciously now, your life gets better immediately and you'll be well practiced when retirement expands your time dramatically. A warning about that time though. Others will have their own ideas about how you should spend it. Lesson 12. Other people have opinions about your retirement. I got the distinct impression from some people lately that because I'm not being paid, the activities I value have no worth. That I should be available for anything. Stay out late because I don't have to be up in the morning, pick different hobbies, say yes to every invitation. Others are genuinely worried for me that I'm not grasping how to do retirement right, that I've just mindlessly traded one form of desk work, my consulting job, for another, creating ThriveSpan videos. To the casual observer, these may look the same. To me, they're polar opposites. The first I did for money and couldn't wait to get out of. The second I do out of passion and couldn't wait to start. However you choose to start spending your retirement, be prepared for some pushback. To be fair though, your family and friends might have a point. You're groping your way through a big transition here, just like I am. You might be reflexively declining some opportunities out of old habit that deserve a second look now that you have the bandwidth. How do you decide? Here's the framework I figured out I'm using. Is it one time and low cost? Maybe yes. Does it conflict with something I genuinely value, like a good night's sleep or a passion project? Probably no. Does it eat time I can't recover elsewhere? Also probably no. Does it foster something I value, especially relationships? Likely yes. This is where I'm shifting toward yes most often now. People will have opinions. Listen with one ear, try the low-cost ones, hold your ground on what actually matters. Your friends, your family, your loved ones, they're in a transition too where you're concerned. Give them time to adjust to the new you. Let's talk about a specific example. Lesson 13. Sleep gets easier and harder. I have learned to guard my sleep jealously because there's no greater source of feeling high on life than being well rested. Retirement has been a mixed blessing for sleep in two ways I didn't anticipate. First, easier. I wake multiple times a night. I've always struggled to get back to sleep, and 6 a.m. was the worst. My mind would start racing through everything I had to do that morning until I just gave up and got up. I'd end up short-slept. That problem vanished the moment I retired. No work to-do list, no racing thoughts, no job but to fall back asleep. And free of stress, turns out that's a job I excel at. Harder was protecting bedtime. As long as I was working, I had an unchallengeable excuse. I have to be up early. Retired, that excuse is gone. Other people, and the devil on my own shoulders, start suggesting it's fine to stay out. I don't have to be anywhere in the morning. Just sleep until noon. I am not capable of sleeping until noon. My fix. I'm treating my retirement quest for peak thrive as even more important as paid work ever was because it matters more, and sleep is foundational to peak thrive. I have a sleep rule. Get 6 hours and 50 minutes of sleep so I don't need post-morning caffeine or a nap. And I'm building in accountability. Every morning I journal my sleep, wake time, nap, and caffeine use to an AI accountability coach I created. I'll share the surprising effectiveness of this technique in my next video. If you've never been well rested, if you're a lifetime member of Team I'll Sleep When I'm Dead, you have two additional retirement challenges where sleep is concerned. First, you might squander the opportunity retirement gives you to finally get enough sleep because you don't know what you're missing. You don't know how glorious truly well rested feels. Try it for a week and find out. Second, you might have no idea how to sleep well. My Sleep Masterclasses video is a good place to start. I'll put the link in the description. But as hard as retirement has made it to get to bed on time, it's made another of my habits even harder. Lesson 14, vices just get more challenging. I've grappled with moderating alcohol even longer than sleep, and retirement only made it harder. Within days, I was day drinking, tanking my motivation, and night drinking, tanking my sleep. I'd lost the structure that had been keeping my bad habit in check. Work, without my realizing it, had been a guardrail. This applies beyond alcohol. Overeating, screen time, gambling, porn, any vice of yours that work is suppressing. Retirement will test you. No one warns you about the 2 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon with nothing scheduled and the temptation right there. I'm warning you now. What got me back on the alcohol moderation track is what got me back on the sleep track. recognizing how much I care about peak thrive and how alcohol damages it, having alcohol moderation rules, and my AI accountability journaling. Whether you must abstain from your vice or you can safely moderate it with the right system, start preparing now for when retirement rips out the guardrails you didn't know you were counting on. So, 1 month in, do I miss my job? That job is like a ghost at the edge of my vision. Sometimes I catch a glimpse, then realize there's nothing there. What I have now, because I prepared, already gives me more of what I value than work ever did. Retirement isn't the end. It's a new era with its own challenges, its own freedoms, its own version of the work that makes your life worth living. Your financial preparation matters, your health preparation matters, but what matters most is knowing what you want to walk toward, not just what you can't wait to walk away from. Retire with intention. To learn how to thrive in Retirement 2.0 and right now, watch this video to learn the 8 fundamentals of ThriveSpan. Thrive now for life.